Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Copy Corner. My name is Terry Schilling, and with me, as always, is...
Dan Marzullo.
Ooh, man, a little delay there, man. Come on, man. When I cue you, you gotta say it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. No, you just pause a little bit. It's fine. It's cool.
Damn Wi-Fi, no.
Yeah, I know, right? But Terry Schilling, Dan Marzullo here. We're back with The Copy Corner, our little corner of the internet where we're delivering copywriting tips, digital marketing tips for fellow freelancers, small business owners, entrepreneurs to help write their message clearly, help attract the right audience, grow the business that they love. And today we're going to go into different aspects of ROI, especially with writing your copy, writing with your content, having this goal in mind. How are you going to measure the words that you write? Correct. So we're going to go into some other details of how you guys can do that so it can help you write more effectively and be goal oriented. All right, Dan. So I'll let you go ahead and start the conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely, Terry. I think it's super important to measure the ROI of your copy, but it's hard to do, right? Because it's not as black and white as maybe some other marketing activities. So my biggest thing is if you want to measure conversions or ROIs, you have to attach some type of conversion-driven activity to the piece of content that you're creating, right?
Yeah.
So the first example that I think of is if you're going to write an article, at the end of that article, have some kind of lead magnet for an email capture, some strong call to action that's asking that reader to do something so that you can actually get some data. If you have that, then you can go back later, right? And you can review, okay, well, how many clicks did I get? How many readers read this article? How many of those downloaded that lead magnet to convert? If you don't ask them to do anything, you really don't have a whole lot of data that you can analyze. And just aside from that is you have to tell them what you want them to do or they're not going to know. So you can't expect somebody to take an action if you don't ask them to do something. So that's my biggest advice is like attach some piece of like conversion driven activity to whatever it is you're writing so that you have something to measure.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. And I mean, I feel like I could just echo what you said. And, there's so many different things with ROI, with copywriting. If you're doing emails, look at subject lines. What's the click to open rate? I do that even with my newsletter, where I'll do A/B testing, check the different subject line. I find that it's like almost 20% higher if I have the person's first name in the subject line, right? So that right there, like that's in my brain. That's what I'm striving for. I have a goal of like, let's get 35% open rates out of my email list, right? And so then I'll test the different subject lines and if something is working, I'll try to incorporate that and keep incorporating that. And I write a lot of website copy. Now, sometimes we want to track the ROI of like how many people are clicking on the specific button to, conversion rates, as we say. Mm-hmm. But also a big one is bounce rates. And what I've realized when writing website copy, we want to keep it obviously keyword focused, but we want to have this human element to it. And so one project I was working for, it was a custom clothing company, and we changed their homepage. We kind of made it more awareness to this COVID time about how we are, the clothes bring teams together even when we're apart. And then we had some other language around this as well. And the bounce rates went from, on the homepage, 55 to 30%. So almost 25% of those people were going off and going, just going to the next page. And we also edited another page where we really, again, we kind of made it more personable, the copy, and it went from 70% to a 40% bounce rate. So just even that, just be mindful of, how you're writing the copy on your website. You don't maybe always necessarily have to focus on, are they clicking the button? Are they clicking the button? Think about how long people are staying on that site, right? And there's tons of tools that you guys can use. There's heat maps for sites to see where people are, clicking and moving the mouse and spending the most time. But really, Dan, it goes back to what you said, is just have that conversion, focus on it. Like, what is the goal here? What do I want to have? And then tailor your copy around that. If you really want them to click an action button, use micro copy above like the learn more or start here. Maybe that will help. And of course, do some A/B testing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What was that tagline you came up with for the clothing company? That was awesome. Bringing people together when we're apart.
Yeah. I was working with a friend of mine, and we kind of, it's like clothing that brings your team together even when you're apart. And it's just people spent more time on it. They really felt more comfortable going to that homepage, right? And we kind of kept that same type of tone throughout the homepage of like, we love our products. Like, if you care, we care. Things like that about like, creating clothes ethically and sustainability too in that element. So it's pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see that even just, we weren't trying to stuff it with keywords, but we just changed the tone and look what happened, which is pretty cool.
Right. Dang, yeah, everybody take notes from killer copywriter Terry on this one. That was good.
Bro. Stop, man. But, Dan, kudos to you, man, because you're so right, though, with having that focus from the beginning. And then get a spreadsheet? How do you sometimes measure it? Like, what do you use? Like, what other tools may you use to track all that stuff, Dan?
Yeah, Terry, when we are tracking those things, it depends on the client, right? Sometimes we'll do it on our end, use some Google Sheets to kind of keep an eye on that. I'd say most often for us with who we work with, their internal team is tracking that on the back end on a regular basis. But I'd say regardless, however you're going to do it, just, find a way to keep an eye on that regularly so that you know what you're doing is working. And if not, what you need to test and change and always be tweaking. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I feel like that's really the message here, Dan, and we can end this copy corner on that. It's just really staying consistent with that and keeping track so you know what is working so then you can adjust your copy. Whether it's the views of your article, whether it's the conversion rates for different buttons, if your email marketing campaigns, just keep on track of the data. And start tracking your ROI and think about what you want that ROI to be that ultimately is going to help reach your goals, right? So is it money? Is it you want certain people in your email list and conversions? If you're getting ready for a course launch, do you want 300 people to join and then you need an X amount of conversion rates to hit this money goal? Write that all out, have that plan. And then when it comes to writing, do some A/B testing. Just be very mindful of that ROI process.
Yeah. No, that's huge, Terry. You said it perfectly. I mean, it's so many people just aren't tracking at all, but then they're putting all this time and effort into creating content. But if you're not going to have these benchmarks and numbers, and then what's the point, right? You're kind of wasting money.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. That's what we got for tracking ROI with your copy and content. Hope you guys all found this episode helpful and actionable as well. Dan, anything else?
No, that's it for me, Terry.
All right, man. That's it for me. Love what you do. Proceed with passion. We'll see you guys on the next episode of the Copy Corner.